talk about stuff?
Sure.
Okay.
Are you recording? It's a good question.
Okay, here we go. Good. Now I'm nervous. Hello and welcome to the Hindsight Grad Show Podcast. This is a show dedicated to highlighting the visual communications class of 2020 while building community connections. On this show, we will be speaking with students of the visual communications graduating class, as well as local artists, designers, teachers, and business owners. I should also say that this is the last year for this grad class to be named visual communications. It will be turning into art and design after. But I will introduce my guests. So here to talk about art life and everything in between, we have Mr. Jaeden Krein.
Hello.
Hello. Jaeden is a student here. Would you like to say a little bit about yourself, maybe about your grad project?
So I'm a third-year visual communication student. I mostly focus on motion graphics and interactive design. So my project is going to be an interactive installation, which people can play with and interact with a Switch and joystick to kind of manipulate the graphics I have on screen.
Excellent. Okay, very excited to see that. And our second guest is an instructor at the Medicine Hat College. His name is Mr. James Keuhn. He's an award-winning digital media designer. He has a master's. Is that true? In digital?
Master's Digital Media Design.
From the University of Edinburgh?
Edinburgh.
I better not get that wrong again. And a Bachelor's of Communication Studies, right?
Correct.
Yes. His previous experiences have trailed through filmmaking, apparently when film was actually film. Over 20 years of web experience, 3D design and animation, and interactive media. Currently, he is pursuing a bachelor's in architecture also?
Right. Busting myself back down.
Right. Back down to student level. His day gig is an educator at Medicine Hat College, where he teaches web, interactive, and CAD design. And if that's not enough, he is also a newly appointed director for Digital Alberta and a founding member of Pulp, which is a new media creators society. And you say you are an infinitely curious creator. I like that title.
Pretty much. That's how it fits.
Yeah. So what's going on with Pulp? That's a new thing in town, which Jaeden is also a part of?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jaden's one of the founding members of Pulp as well. We're trying to fully define ourselves, but we're more or less a new media going to be society soon for Medicine Hat in the region.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I mostly am interested in doing workshops within Pulp and kind of learning more with the community, and it's nice because I feel like once it gets going, it'll be a great place to kind of drive people to work on personal projects and share it.
Yeah, and we hope to get to a point where we're recognized in Alberta as an incorporated society. We'll be able to then procure funding for festivals, for workshops, for getting hardware, all that good stuff. So it's taking not too long to get going, and we'll see where it goes this year for sure.
Okay, and for workshops, Jaeden, would you be teaching workshops, teaching people about design, or how does that?
I'm not 100% sure, but I would like to teach some motion graphic kind of things, mostly about workflow and how people can increase their work time. I don't know. That's a big thing I struggled with when I first started doing motion graphics, was kind of getting into a routine where it was effective and not difficult to, I don't know.
But that's normal, right?
Well,
learning any software, you're learning Touch Designer.
Yeah.
And you start out and you're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
You just want to
More or
reduce
less.
the amount of like smashing your computer, right?
Mhm.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And then over time, you become familiar with workflows. So that's good. The quicker you can get into somebody helping you out, you're going to be faster at learning it. So that's where Pulp is kind of nice that way. We call it micro mentorship, not, just sort of small interactions with people that are, again, curious about new media.
I should also mention that there will be swearing on this show from time to time. And that's okay, because we're adults. Jaeden, what are you like? What is your main focus for when you get out of school? Are you going to try to further your education to contribute more to Pulp, or like what are you looking to do with?
I'd like to work in my field of study for a while. So like doing motion graphics and kind of learning on the job more so. I'm not like entirely opposed to going back to school and maybe pursuing a master's in the future, but for now I kind of just want to work when I'm done. That's about it.
Just want to work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Work.
I went back to a master's at 40, and it was kind of the perfect time because not that I'm 40, but that's when I went. And it's kind of the perfect time because you've worked for a long time, you've been doing things, and you're ready for that new challenge. Jumping right in straight after school, sometimes that's kind of a mistake, I would say, because you're just trying to get your head swirled around what you've spent the last 4 years doing, let alone then going on to master something, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. When did you get your first degree, James?
That was pretty late too. I worked on that for a lot of years. From distance learning has been really valuable for me. I live in Medicine Hat, where the applied degree for medicine for the VisCom art and design. It's one of the few ones that I would be interested in. I picked it up afterwards, so I was kind of late to the game. But I had a diploma for web and computer graphics. I have a diploma for CAD, and all that stuff carried me through. But it was always that, what's the next challenge? And then where can I spend a whole bunch of money? That kind of thing. And get some good results from it. So
Right. So you've been seeing digital media, I guess, evolve quite heavily in the last 20 years or so?
yeah, it's one of those things, a lot of it I tend to rail on in class about certain things being, it's the same way we did it before. It's just been branded as something else. So like UI, UX, it's not anything different. Sustainability has been since like the 80s. Not that I cared about it back then. It was, we were watching weird Max Headroom and I can't remember that show. It was like all 3D and animation. And I was like, that's so cool back in the 80s. But yeah, it's evolved quite a bit. Even the idea of motion graphics, and you're talking about like wanting to be a motionographer. Well, that's not really something that we called it even back in 2000, I think about 9, wasn't it? That started to evolve in as motionographer as a thing. And before that, it would have been just Flash animator.
Yeah.
Just Flash. Just some Flash.
Or effects guru or something like that. What was it? Webmaster used to be a name. It was a webmaster.
Wow.
It's quite the title.
Yeah, that's very prestigious. Yeah. So, Jaeden,
Yeah.
what is your main, because there are different areas of like motion graphics and like interactive design, right? Like,
Yeah.
what is the biggest thing for you?
Mostly like logo animation and 2D motion graphics. I haven't gotten too much into 3D stuff.
Okay.
For my project, I've been working a bit in Cinema 4D just to develop some models and stuff. When I move further with it, though, I intend to, work more with the motion of the 3D objects. But mostly it's just the 2D animation kind of stuff is what I'm mostly interested in, and web design for sure.
Okay. So what programs do you use or like utilize or?
For the most part, After Effects, and I'm learning a lot of Touch Designer for the most part. For this assignment in particular, Touch Designer has, I think, a pretty steep learning curve, and it's been quite a journey trying to figure it out for within the time frame of 3 months for this project.
Yeah.
For web, just like Dreamweaver, and I want to learn Houdini in the future. It looks like a pretty powerful like 3D animation tool, and yeah.
Okay.
I think you mentioned a few students come along and they say Blender, and I've always been like, fuck Blender, because it's free. And I was like,
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I was like, now you're looking at it, and there's a lot of Danny who's in the room. She's mentioning Blender, and it's like, it's for free, really powerful. And that's one of my biggest stumbling blocks with C4D, is that it's free when you're a student, but it sure ain't free when you get out. It's a steep, like Houdini is very steep as far as a learning curve, but they make it super accessible as far as licensing goes, whereas C4D is so easy to pick up and yet just so expensive.
Yeah.
Right? Like that day has to come where Adobe says, we're done hanging out side by side, we're buying you.
Yeah.
Right? C4D, come on in. And that'll be a great day because that'll be under subscription. But yeah, it's a tricky one. Although skills in 3D transfers.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. You go from one to another to another. And just like in Touch Designer, you go, your skills in Photoshop, Illustrator, all of that sort of lends itself once you get in there. And the better you have command over things from other applications, you bring that skill into. And that's something when you graduate, and you have to go and use Affinity, because they won't buck up the cash for Adobe, which is perfectly fine. You can still learn it. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So there are like comparable, like Affinity is a comparable program. Like, would it be fairly similar, or is it like a new learning curve?
Do you know it well?
I've touched a bit on Affinity. It's similar to Illustrator. I haven't looked too much into like, I think they have an After Effects, maybe like application similar to that, or for video. But like as far as my experience, I did the one that's kind of like Illustrator. It's pretty similar, but I feel like Adobe is a lot more smooth, and I feel it has a lot more like capabilities and functions.
Yeah, you're paying for the pipeline there. And
Yeah.
although Affinity, you can get that perpetual license and have Photoshop, Illustrator, and a sort of pseudo InDesign kit for fairly cheap. So if you're freelancing and not getting a lot of money, it's not a bad way to start sometimes.
Yeah.
But then Houdini is just like on the other end, where it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
It's gonna be painful, but it's because it's got massive, like it kicks everything out the window as far as quality.
What
Yeah, for sure.
what does Houdini include? Like, what is that?
Like anything, Houdini would be take any 3D application and then just tack on the ability to do anything. Like, I'm sorry, that's like not even a good description, but it's literally one of those things where you can tack on, like the particle effects are outstanding. Like everything you make in there can be so customized and so incredibly detailed, so incredibly like just robust renderings you can get from it. But it's got this really high learning curve to get in. That said, Touch Designer, if you're experienced in Touch Designer, those skills of Node and networks and operators feeds into Houdini as well. So, yeah,
Yeah, that sounds actually quite nice.
Yeah.
sounds painful, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
good eventually.
yeah. A little bit of a side topic, because we all have mustaches. I keep getting mustache hairs just like growing and tickling my nose. Does anyone else get that?
I recently shaved because of that.
Did you?
Yeah. I was not having it anymore.
This is mustache problems
Yeah.
with Jordan, Jaeden, and James.
I don't know, I'm older. It's more like ear hair is, yeah.
Yeah,
The mustache stuff is like, that's livable, but
that's the ears.
just
that
the
get
extra
you.
hairs that grow
Yeah.
everywhere else gets a little crazy.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, excellent. James, are you working on any projects right now?
Let me think. I'm in, oh my God, so many, like, because of the Digital Alberta I just picked up, and that started this week. Pulp stuff. So that's kind of like board chair.
Yeah.
kind of things, but we're writing grants. Got a grant in for the festival. I picked up a little side gig for a client in town. Can't say who it is because it's going to be too awesome and you'll be too excited. But just a quick gig in February here, just to keep doing just a little, like when you teach, you end up managing more than you practice. And so we get time in the spring, summer, where we're able to sort of take a step back and go and do some of that. But yeah, like this client came up and I'm like, yes, I can do it. I was recommended by another studio to pick up the work. So I kind of, out of respect for them, I took it on as well. And gives me a chance also to, part of it, I would say, which is going to be really hard for students coming out and I'm not very good at, is the business side of things, right? That practice of billing and being like, this is what it's worth. That's an interesting thing for you coming out of school to get into and becoming proficient with. And you kind of lose that. Like you go and you work and you're doing your gig. You may actually discount yourself because you're like, it's fine. I'm going to make my wage anyway. And I'm just going to do this for almost like it turns into friends and family kind of stuff. Whereas students coming out, they can't do it. So as much as I say in class, like you need to bill, track your hours, I'm really bad. I'm probably the worst person for that, right? Yeah. And so it's kind of me, again, practicing. Part of the obligation is knowing that I was recommended by another professional in town. I can't go and do it for like a friends and family rate. So that's kind of nice to maintain that business rigor, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
And I think in this program we do learn quite a bit about how to price yourself. I think you spoke a lot about that in interactive and in web throughout the past 2 years. And I think that's a very important thing to learn in this program.
I'm such a hypocrite because I don't follow my own advice. Like, it's like, no, you got to track your hours and you got to bill it and like figure it. But that's the problem with being like comfortable in a career kind of thing. So, so now I'm thinking of it as I need to buy a new camera. I must charge this much to be able to get there. Right?
Yeah.
Which is odd if you want to talk about whether you believe it or not, that manifestation kind of approach. It was before Christmas and I was like, in my head, I was like, I really need like $1,500 to buy a camera that I want to use. And all of a sudden it was like January hit and it was like, oh, here's a project. Here's another project. And it magically totaled up to $1,500 between project A and project B. And I'm like, perfect, camera. So I got to think much bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, why stop there?
Why stop there?
Yeah, 15 million.
Something
maybe?
to be said for like thinking about what you want. I'm like, I need a gig in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When's that going to happen?
When you keep thinking about it and it just magically
That's right.
lands on your
And
doorstep.
it does.
Yeah.
It's so weird. It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like self-fulfilling prophecies.
Self-fulfilling. It's The Secret.
It's James spent the whole Christmas break rewatching The Secret.
Watching this on Oprah.
Yeah. Magical. Can you tell us a little bit about Digital Alberta? What's that?
So Digital Alberta is a nonprofit organization. They are housed out of Edmonton, and so most of the previous board members have been from Edmonton. They're a little bit, not fully like a lobby group as such, but they're certainly working to raise awareness about opportunities for people that are technologically inclined and artistically inclined to start their business and grow their business in Alberta and prove that we are actually good at what we do in Alberta and we can compete for jobs that are larger than we're pulling in right now, and that this is going to help drive some of the economy. Just even the idea of looking at everything, and this is theory, theoretically AI can take over a lot of different types of jobs, and creatives are gonna be one of the last to go because AI cannot replace creativity yet. Right? So it's that idea of, in a new economy, things are moving fast. You're looking at things for graphic designers. Well, AI is going to start factoring in. Big data is factoring in. And so Digital Alberta is really trying to figure out how do we fit as a our local society, our local talents. How do we fit into that, especially in a global community? So I nominated myself for the board because I felt that was going to be important to have some impact even down here in Medicine Hat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate. It was there was 8 spots. I probably got the 8th spot, but there was 57 applicants. So I felt all right that, it's, which is your advantage as young students, is you are regionally challenged in some ways. We are in the corner of Alberta, and yet if you look at a lot of the grants, you are exactly the kind of person they're looking for to fill grants and opportunities. They want to grow into different areas and not just give out all this money to the major centers. They want to be able to prove that these smaller cities are capable of hauling in some of that work, because we can work from anywhere, right? I'm on the board for Digital Alberta, and I can just, Skype in once a month and do my part, type of thing. So
Yeah, there's a ton of grants you were saying for like artists, and there's just they're just looking to utilize it.
yeah, and it's going to get tighter, obviously, with the current climate, but the Canada Council for the Arts, the AFA Alberta Foundation for the Arts, they've got opportunities for young students coming out, get established, sign up for some grants organizations. So down the road, if Pulp continues, we want to be able to sign up for some of these larger digital grants, because they don't even know how to access technology and fit it into their creative pursuits sometimes. And so, people are quite often scared because it's a computer, and it's still, this is 2020 now, and yet we're not maximizing it. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's massive amounts of money, and people are more than willing to invest in people for those types of pursuits, whether it's artistic or design, organizational, yeah, which is super exciting. It's just a matter of, you gotta get off your ass and write the grant, which is not hard. If you look at, I've read some submissions, and it's horrific. Like, you wax crayon.
Yeah.
I like colors. And it's like, really? How much money do you want? Yeah. So you should all be thinking about that, certainly, as you leave school, is if you want to be able to, you're doing your day gig, but also pick up a grant for a show, or if you want to pick up a grant to travel even and go to a conference, right? You want to go to the Touch Designer Conference. I don't know if it's every year in Montreal, but like, why not?
Yeah. And
there'll be some money, and say, I want to go to this conference. This is what I'm going to learn. This is what I'm going to bring back. I'm going to teach a workshop for Pulp. My name is Jaeden Krein. It's done, right?
Yeah.
So it's recorded now, by the way.
Yeah,
You said you're doing it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
great, thanks.
Wouldn't be opposed.
Wouldn't be opposed to go to Montreal. So do grants just include like just educational costs and like material costs and that kind of thing?
Different grants have different intent. So some grants will be about just growing an organization. Some grants are about, I'm a young artist, I want to have a particular show. It's really, there's money for any kind of avenue that you're trying to pursue. If you want, sort of, you're a practicing artist, there's examples of that, practicing artists, I want to go and learn this new skill, there's a workshop going on at the Banff Center or something like that. You could apply to get grant money for that type of thing as well. I find, and I don't know, I might be fully wrong about this, but I find that things like getting grants to buy you a new computer is not the easiest thing. Yeah. They'll typically lean you towards, can you rent the equipment for the project you're working on, that type of stuff. But even still, that's fantastic. I need a laser projector so I can project on the side of the Medicine Hat Cliffs. Perfect. Let's write a grant for it and get that done.
That would actually be really cool.
That would be super dope.
Yeah.
I'd be into that.
Yeah, now that that's recorded.
Yeah. Like, it's a perfect canvas. Sandy cliff sides. Yeah. It would be so cool. We'll do it on, I don't know, when we're going to do Christmas? New Year's. We'll do it on New Year's. It's dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could be, what would you do for, like, what comes to mind when you think of?
Probably some like cheesy story of Medicine Hat or something, and reinterpret it and put it up on the side of the, why not?
Right.
Something. I don't know. I've heard all the stories for Medicine Hat. There's a couple of good ones.
Are they?
And pretty like dramatic. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see
I don't
that.
know. There was one about a guy who left his wife in a river or something like. I don't know fully, but it was something along that line. And then I don't know. You cannot quote me on that because
Yeah.
it was something like that that was like really dramatic.
Really, like way back in the day, or was this
Way,
like,
like
do we need
this-
to be worried about a recent
No, nothing recent.
maniac
Nothing
on
recent.
the loose?
Leaving people in.
But I think
Yeah.
I think in a lot of ways too, Medicine Hat is still figuring out its story. Also,
Yeah, it's very
kind of in progress.
budding community with a lot of history,
A lot of history.
I would
Yeah.
say. Yeah, very thriving
Yeah.
art scene.
And Dean Smale teaches in the VisCom. He's got that idea as well, and I like this when he talks about. It's like, you say you're from Medicine Hat, and people are. I'm pretty sure it was Dean. I might be misquoting, but I'm sure it was. Like you say from Medicine Hat, it's a unique name. Like, show me another Medicine Hat on the map, right?
Yeah.
And maybe that helps on your grant submissions. I'm from Medicine Hat. They're like, what the heck is that?
Yeah. What was that one movie where Brad Pitt references Medicine Hat?
Oh shoot, I don't
almost every
know. Yeah.
page of the script. I would
Pretty sure
imagine.
you showed us.
Yeah, I
that.
can't
Did you show
remember. I
us that?
showed you the collapsed version on YouTube there, and Brad Pitt and I can't remember the other actor. Wait, yeah. When are you going to find your Medicine Hat?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
really wants to be here.
We should be making shirts like that, like a Brad Pitt shirt.
Yeah.
Where's Medicine Hat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's your Medicine Hat?
Where's your
and
Medicine
it's
Hat?
like the happy place.
Make him our mascot.
Yeah, yeah. We need that.
The official mascot of Medicine
Who's
Hat.
Who's doing silk screening stuff? Braun. Neil Braun.
Oh yeah.
Braun.
yeah.
Wow.
Let's get Braun.
Yeah.
Making some Brad
some
Pitt
Brad
Medicine
Pitt
Hat
shirts.
stuff.
Braun
That'd be wicked.
Yeah. That,
Like-
we,
And just make it just enough off enough that it sort of looks like Brad Pitt, but not quite,
Right.
so we don't get nailed.
we just need to put like, the funny glasses with the nose on it. Just put that on Brad Pitt's face and we'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like give him like a Harry Potter scar on his cheek, so it's like,
Yeah.
But then we get sued by Harry Potter.
Well, if it's on his cheek, is it
Yeah, I
the same?
suppose because
yeah,
it's not the forehead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we can do some cool stuff.
good.
Yeah, with non-copyrighted material. It's perfect. Okay, so I'm getting the cue from Muhammad here. We got 4 minutes left. I think there are two ways we could take this. If there's anything else you guys wanted to talk about, we could do that. Or we could talk about the most disgusting ASMR noises you've ever heard in your life. For me, it was a girl eating aloe vera. It was gross.
I feel like that's something you wouldn't want.
Eating aloe vera.
It was
Yeah.
like it was like the sandwich thickness.
Oh.
And
Can you recreate that sound?
there's so much juice. It's,
Oh god.
it was not
Gross.
pleasing. Yeah.
What would mine be? It would probably be something like a fork on a plate, or that kind of
Kind
stuff.
of like a chalkboard
yeah,
style.
that kind of screechy, or like pulling your fingers across styrofoam or something.
Oh,
like that kind of squeaky, stretchy,
Old chalkboard.
This is me
with
curling
the
my
nails.
mustache.
curling my mustache.
Yeah.
This is me curling my ear hair.
Oh.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
and that's a thing. Is anybody's grad show like ASMR?
I think
Why not? Like, and have some headphones in the gallery, headphones,
Interactive and
and then like a poster on the wall that's like this,
Yeah.
like arms up, like I don't know. And then
Yeah.
you've got to put on the headphones to find out.
You can have a few puke buckets beside. Yeah. Just enter at your own risk.
I don't know if I really have weird ASMR. I don't know. Only one I've ever heard was like someone chomping into a cucumber. So
Yeah, that's a pretty common one.
I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it.
It's was it originally created to like help people get to sleep, or
It's a sensory thing.
Yeah, I
Some
think it was
people
yeah
just
sensory,
enjoy it. I don't know.
therapeutic.
Yeah.
I much prefer like satisfying videos or things like that where they're
Yeah.
cutting butter
Yeah. I
like
get
in
that.
little cubes and then they
Yeah.
cut it and it's like that's satisfying for
Like,
sure.
Yeah.
People molding the moon dust stuff and then cutting that. It's like super
Oh.
precise.
I think
smooth.
you could do that in VisCom as well, satisfying or ASMR videos of all those things like silk screening, and it's like that nice satisfying rip curl of the ink, and it's like it's
You could-
rolling across.
do it live and then stare people directly in the eyes as you do it. Yeah.
Just uncomfortable stares. Salvador Ganacci.
Quite
Yeah.
the project.
Yeah. That was Jaeden. We have a new direction for your project. Yeah.
Ditch the interactive part and have it.
Yeah.
So for people to
Kind of
find you, are you social media or what's your gig?
For the most part right now, it's just Instagram. So
Just the Instagram.
yeah, just here. Let me just.
Just
You can find me at just JK_interactive on Instagram.
That's mine as well. Thank you.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because it's my last name.
is it
First name's Jay.
JK,
JK.
JK?
like-minded.
You'll be hearing from my lawyer.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, and then we'll post like all of the social medias at the bottom of this, and you
Oh,
can like people
perfect.
can find you and they can see what you're up to. So
Okay.
Yeah, be sure to post Pulp. We have a stinky website up right now. And,
you've got something.
something.
I don't even think I've
It's
seen
like a solid hour.
Is it?
A solid
Wow.
hour of coding it. And it's like, this is not responsive at all.
Yeah,
But
it's perfect.
but it's there. So
it's like new.
it's a work in progress, and maybe the Digital Alberta, because I believe, do not quote me on this, but I believe you can get a student membership for cheap. I will say cheap, not free, but it's inexpensive. And then there's things like looking at nominations for Digital Alberta Student Awards. So projects you've done, if you document it, throw it in there and go party in Calgary for a night.
I think that's one thing I'm making a point of for my grad project is having good documentation for interactions.
That was the worst thing on my master's. I did the whole project and I documented video, setup, all this stuff, and I forgot to take like good photos when it was set up. And I was like, shit.
Darn.
Right? You can't recreate those times. So yeah, get like a nice quiet time in the gallery, document for sure.
Document,
Huge.
for
Because
sure.
that rolls into whether it's towards awards or towards other grants or next projects. Can't say that enough. Document.
Even
So,
just for a portfolio piece.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you for Jaeden Krein and James Keuhn for being here tonight. And thank you for tuning into the Hindsight Graduation Podcast. To learn more about our grads and check out more podcasts, click, like, and subscribe to Grad Show MHC on Facebook and Instagram. And also check out our website, which Jaeden is actually helping to code right now.
Yeah.
It's hindsight.gallery.
Yeah.
Gallery, which we like. We think it's nice. It's a nice little touch.
I think it's fitting.
Yeah. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Cheers. Thanks.
Yeah, stay
Thank you.
tuned for more ASMR.